Hello and welcome to Round 6 of Grand Prix Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm Nate Price in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen. Our feature match for this round is Canadian John Stern playing Mono Black Devotion against Darin Minard in his Mono Red Burn deck.
Yeah, well, he's got some white in there. He has War Leader's Helix chained to the rocks and Boros Charm.
Yeah, so heavy red Boros, we'll call it.
Burn.
Barely Boros Burn?
Barely Boros Burn. I like that.
We are big fans of alliteration here. All right, so things begin with Minard's going to be taking 2 damage from his Sacred Foundry, giving him an opportunity. Is this a young Pyromancer? Nope, so he's just going to pass the turn. Likely going to be some burn that gets fired off in the end step.
New art or old art for Sacred Foundry? What's your pick?
I like the old art.
Old art?
I really do like the old art.
For Sacred Foundry, I'm going to have to go with old art also, but for most of them, I like the new art.
I agree with that, actually. That's completely true. I like the perspective change on a lot of things. It's very, like, the artwork, especially like Hallowed Fountain is a good example, where the artwork is fairly similar, but the perspective change, just enough to make it an interesting look.
Yeah.
All right, so that Magma Jet equals the damage done to both players and gives Darin a chance to scry, set up the next couple of turns.
And it looks like Darin's hand is just chock full of burn, so that's what he wants to have. And he's hunting for that skull crack. He knows that he needs to start applying pressure in that way. The
good thing is his deck is running a full 8 scry lands, both Temple of red-white, and he's also running a Temple of black-white, Temple of Silence, in order to just get that as extra scries.
Scry lands are so good with burned spells.
Yep. Any type of aggressive deck like this, something that needs a certain number of lands and then nothing else, the ability to just start getting rid of the lands on top of your deck, it's really powerful right now.
John's probably a little bit confused now. He's thinking, "Oh, my opponent just aimed 2 burn spells at my face. Was this? Is this what I think this is?
Yeah. All right. So here comes John's 5th turn, enabling to. This is when he starts to be able to cast multiple things. Yeah, Gray Merchants. Get the business started early. So Mirror Drain for 2. Not going to completely negate the damage that's done, but it is going to actually swing life totals in his favor. Or would if there wasn't a crack.
And there is a crack.
Gary
John
takes
Stern's
a
skull right now.
A nice 5-point life swing there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
In addition, this Chain to the Rocks, actually quite powerful against this mono black deck, considering part of the long game for this deck is to whip back these creatures and continue to gain extra life. And if you can't whip them back if they're chained down to a rock.
You cannot.
Yeah.
It's got to be rough being chained to a rock.
Historically so, yes.
Yeah.
Not too bad. I mean, at least in this situation, it doesn't look like there's vultures, pulling out organs or anything like that. I've heard that that's actually probably the roughest way to go. But
yeah.
Yeah, not something I would generally try to convince my travel agent to sign me up for. It's got to be worse when you're chained up to a Sacred Foundry, too. Like, you're just chained up to a big piece of metal that someone's going to be hammering on at some point. That just seems
awful. That's terrible. And you're like, come on, let me go. And they're like, you deserve to be here, Boros.
I imagine that's how everyone in the Boros Guild speaks.
It's definitely how everybody in the Boros Guild speaks.
Boros is famous for its valley speak. Welcome to the Foundry. All right, a Night Veil Spectre comes down. 3 toughness is not actually something that I imagine Darin's deck is going to have too much of a difficult time dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just going to chain it to a rock.
When in doubt, chain it to a rock.
Seems good to me.
Never have there been so many things attached to one mountain. We get a good look at the Chandra Pyromancer sitting in his hand as well. So,
and that can start doing some real serious work against these mono black strategies.
Oh yeah. What are her abilities again?
So her +1 deals 1 damage to up to 1 target creature and target player.
Okay.
And creatures dealt damage this way cannot block this turn. She has a 0 ability where you exile the top card of your library and you can cast it this turn.
Oh, it's like a way to draw cards.
Yeah. And then her ultimate, you take the top of your deck and you get to cast a spell 3 times from it.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
All right, well, the first Underworld connections hit the table, giving Stern access to stream of card advantage, but it's going to cost him life every time that he wants to, which against this burn deck could prove lethal.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be problematic here.
He draws into a second copy off of that, or is that a pack rat? It's kind of hard to tell off of the quick slide into his hand. All right, and he's reduced to 8. And 2 more puts him down to 6.
Oh, cool. An Onslaught Shock. You get to see Psychotag getting electrocuted there.
You know, it took me a very long time to realize that that was actually what that was in that art. As soon as it was pointed out to me, though, it was one of those, oh.
It's cool, right?
moments.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, it
never works in real life.
that wouldn't work, you know?
Oh, man. That's why Sudden Shock was so good. All right. Chandra comes down. Darin's got to turn 6 cards sideways just to get 2 mana in order to initially cast her. But he goes ahead and uses the ability to ping John down. I believe he's got either a War Leader's Helix or a Boros Charm in his hand, so that 1 point on the next turn is going to be lethal, assuming John doesn't just put himself into even more dangerous realm. I mean,
John could always just Grey Merchant and gain 4.
Yeah.
And that would pop him back up to 9, and then he's still not in the best of places, but
he's not dead.
He is not dead.
That is important.
It's one of the most important parts of the game of Magic, not being dead.
I've heard as much.
One thing I really like about Darin's deck is that it actually uses Chandra's ultimate really well. You know, Chandra's ultimate's not really something that you see that often. People just kind of use it as a Chase the Mind Sculptor, paying 0 to draw a card, pretty much. And, you know, to control 1 toughness stuff that's on the board, or maybe ping somebody to death in the home stretch. But that ultimate doesn't really see a lot of play. And in Darin's deck, that ultimate's really, really, really good.
You've got all those burn spells, actual targets for her to show.
Ooh, John's going to go down to 3 here for this Thoughtseize.
Ooh,
and he sees a War Leader's Helix and a Young Pyromancer, so he's definitely going to take this War Leader's Helix here. I mean, Young Pyromancer is comically bad in this spot.
Yes.
Rather.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mean in general. I'm sorry.
The young blood.
It's actually a very good card.
Yeah. And it's pretty good in this matchup. Not this matchup, but this deck. Like, virtually everything triggers it. So there's that Grey Merchant we talked about, bringing him back up again.
Yeah, to 7.
To not dead. Very important. And now Darin is playing off the top of his deck, more or less, but he has that Chandra in play, which lets him play off the top of his deck pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he can just 0 that Chandra.
Which he chooses to do. Finds himself a land. So his card for the turn was a second Young Pyromancer. So he's got a pair of Pyromancers in his hand. Now a pair of Pyromancers on the table.
That is what it looks like.
Okay. So, is that another Grey Merchant? No, it's a Devour Flesh. So
if you had another Grey Merchant, things would be really rough for Darin right now.
Yeah, the Devour Flesh is still fine. Like, the ability to target himself with that gives him an opportunity to just, you know, gain himself extra life in a pinch should he absolutely need to at instant speed. All right, so that Chandra going down is a big game, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
All right. Well, Stern has killed off one of the Young Pyromancers, too, so now Darin really is playing off the top of his deck. He's going to need some relatively good draws. Is that a Boros Charm, I believe?
I believe that is a Boros Charm.
All right. Pass the turn. John goes down to 6 to draw a card. Finds another Underworld Connections.
Yeah, not an ideal draw step, but still, I mean, he does have a good amount of stuff in his hand. He definitely not in a bad spot here.
Nope, I believe he's got a pack rat in his hand as well, so he'll have the ability to get that onto the table and begin to churn out some tokens. But it looks like that's an ultimate price to finish off the other young Pyromancer.
I would be pretty surprised if Darin didn't just go ahead and Boros Charm here, yeah.
Try to make a 1/1 at least.
Yep, get a little bit of value, deal your opponent 4 damage.
And Stern drops to a Perilous 2.
Did he indestructible?
No.
No, okay, yeah. I was just a little confused as to why the young Pyromancer remained in play.
Now he's making a decision.
Yeah, he's almost certainly going to need to Devour Flesh himself in the relatively near future.
Yeah. All right. So he does still have a Mutavault to defend, even if he loses his Gray Merchant, which provides him just a little bit of relief. And Sneaky Darin peels his card and doesn't give us a glimpse at it, so now we get to be in just as much suspense as John is. What did he draw? What did he draw?
And we don't know. Could be anything.
I mean, it couldn't be a swamp. That'd be very rare.
Yeah, that would. That's tremendously unlikely.
All right, John goes to 1 because, let's be honest now, if you're at 2 against this deck, what's the difference between being at 1 and being at 2?
Very true. I mean, Darin does have a 1-power creature in play.
This is true. And he does have Chandras in his deck, as we've seen. So there are certainly differences between being at 1 and 2. But
yeah,
they're less of a concern generally, I'd imagine, at this point. Plus, he also knows that he's got that 4 in his back pocket. Although, he's going to have to be really careful about when he chooses to use that. Does he use it in response to... I mean, at this point, you have to use it in response to when Darin goes for the kill, right? You can't use it to stave that off.
Yeah, I think it's better to just use it when he goes for the kill. You do end up getting more value.
Yeah.
Post board, it looks like Darin has Toil and Trouble, which is going to be insane here.
Oh, and there's another Chain to the Rocks. So this could... Oh, so he just goes ahead and lets it happen. So he's... Interesting. And Toil and Trouble is the Sign in Blood Stormseeker, right?
Correct.
Okay, so he has the ability to...
Wow, you're digging deep. Stormseeker.
That's what that's the original card, right?
yeah. It's from like Legends, right? It's like a green sudden impact.
Yep. Oh, Sudden Impact. That's the other name of the... I've always called that ability Stormseeker, so... Then again, I'm also like an old man and I've been playing this game for a long time.
We've been playing this game for a long time.
Yeah. All right. Well, Darin is down to 8 himself, and John is starting to attack with his Mutavaults.
Yeah, I mean, Darin's just been drawing a lot of land in this home stretch, and...
Yeah. I mean, if John draws a Gray Merchant, the game's over.
Yeah. It's true.
All right, so Mutavaults go to town.
Yep, now Darin just needs... Oh, he actually needs something pretty decent off the top of his deck because John can still Devour Flesh one of those Mutavaults away.
He needs something that deals, but then again, something that deals 3 or 4 damage. So Lightning Strike, Boros Charm, War Leader's Helix, these are all live cards. He just loses, I guess Skullcrack is still alive too. So there are a lot of cards. In fact, speaking of Skullcrack. Well, Stern put up a pretty good fight, almost taking that game away. But
just one turn off.
Top of that deck.
Very well played by Darin. I mean, if he had chosen to activate his Chandra differently there, he would not have won that game.
Yeah.
Really, if he had used any of his spells like in different orders, except some of the burn spells where I guess he could have slow rolled them differently a little bit, maybe. But it seemed like he did it fine.
Yeah.
I think he played that game almost perfectly. So
let's take
awesome game.
What does John have to deal with this matchup? I mean, In his sideboard here, it looks like a lot of his cards are geared at decks other than this one here. Got some Dark Betrayals, which are obviously for other decks, like feature, I guess, Blood Baron would be probably the biggest threat for that to be able to deal with. But he's got Duresses.
Well, it can't deal with Blood Baron.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but what does it kill? The
Night Veil Spectre.
Night Veil Spectres. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We've got
Duress,
which seems pretty reasonable in this matchup.
He's definitely bringing in Duresses. Yeah, those are going to be really good.
But then like Shrivel, which is good against the other aggressive decks.
I mean, Shrivel's really good against the Young Pyromancer plan, but the thing is that, I mean, John has so much spot removal already, and he's playing against a deck that has so few creatures that, all of his removal is already looking for something to do.
Yeah.
It's already like really wishing that it could do more.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing about the way that Darin's deck is based around
Freakus
the burn
Cure, though.
Yeah, the Cure, he's got 3 Freakus Cures, which are going to be a great upgrade over the other removal spells that he's got in here.
Yeah, I mean, Duress and Freakus Cure are definitely where he wants to be.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that, Lifebane Zombie doesn't have anything to do, really, and the Doomblade doesn't need another card that doesn't gain him life. What are we looking at from Darin's deck? What's he got in his sideboard over here?
So Darin has a 4-4-4-3 sideboard, but it's a pretty good sideboard for a 4-4-3 sideboard.
Yeah.
Toil and Trouble and Assemble the Legion are both great cards here.
Oh, yeah. Completely agree.
He knows that his opponent's going to have a lot of removal that might be overworked.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably going to want to just take out the Young Pyromancer and the Chandra's Phoenix.
Seems like a good trade-up. He's also got Reckoners, which are generally better against the Blue Devotion strategy. Anything that's going to be like heavy creature-based just gives him a way to...
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously just like the best card ever against other red strategies.
Yeah.
And
what's Spark Trooper generally good for?
Spark Trooper is probably just you're bringing it in against every deck that doesn't play like a lot of instant speed removal.
Okay.
I mean, it's 7 damage for one card.
Over the top, man. Yeah. That card does some serious work.
Yeah, man. Blistering Firecat is a good Magic card.
Especially when he's got, lifelink, too. Like, in those race matchups, like against, mono blue Devotion, like, the ability to smack in for a reasonable amount of damage and bolster your own life total in those races seems pretty strong.
Yeah, it's very strong.
Here, though,
against mono blue, though, it's weird because when they kill you, it's usually excessive. Like they don't do that much in the way of damaging their opponent. They're attacking with like 1/1s and stuff until they have this huge master or a huge Thassa.
Yeah,
and then you're usually below -7 when you're dead.
All right. Well, look, this will be an interesting one. We were right about that Skullcrack you mentioned earlier, playing a key part in that match. I mean, forget that it was actually the card he used to kill him. Like the life swing that he managed to get on that initial Grey Merchant for 2 was exactly what the doctor ordered. It allowed him to win in a situation where he would have lost. So the ability to prevent that life gain is super important in this match. I mean, it's one of the reasons when talking with Brian Brondo and Brad and Todd in Louisville that Erebos is so important in the mirror matchup is the ability to deny the life gain from the opposing deck. So the ability to do that in red especially is going to be very important since, that's the whole way you win is by, just forcing their opponent, just chunking them for damage.
I'm somewhat surprised that Darin's deck does not have access to Anger the Gods anywhere.
Very interesting, yeah.
It seems like that would be good against the aggressive white decks.
Seems like it'd be reasonable also in the match against Mono Blue. Like, you can't kill Master of Waves consequently.
But you kill the tokens it makes.
True,
so.
but if he does, that's my point. Is if you like all of his single target removal spells, none of them can actually kill the Master of Waves, which is most decks' ways to deal with all the elementals that come along with him. Anger the Gods gives you an answer to those because you can't kill the Master of Waves, but you sure can kill a bunch of horsies.
Can.
All right. Well, Stern gets on the board with a Swamp, and Darin opts this time for a Sacred Foundry. Neither of these decks is particularly quick on the board, per se, although Stern's deck certainly can with an early pack rat. We'll speak of the Devil, or the Rodent, I guess. Packard is one of those deceptive cards. Like it was incredibly powerful in that limited format, like unbeatable at points, and people slept on it for a while and constructed. But since the beginning of this season, it has just come alive, making it an easy decision for that first magma jet from Darin. Looks like we're going to replace his sleeve. Looks like one might have a bit of a little mark on it. Something that happens if you play with the same deck and the same sleeves for a while. Like, just shuffle. People have fingernails, believe it or not. So
I used to be a card mangler. Now my cards stay in good shape when I play with them.
I believe that. I make fun of Ben Stark all the time because he's so rough when he shuffles his cards. Every time that he gets mana screwed or mana flooded, I always complain that it's because his lands are terrified of him, and they either his lands or his spells. Well, I think I saw a young Pyromancer in Darin's hand. No, that was a Chandra. My mistake. So now we're going to get to see what it actually is hanging on to. So it's a War Leader's Helix, a Chandra's Phoenix, Chandra herself, and the Sun. So it's a Skullcrack.
And Young Pyromancer.
Oh, it is
so the Young
Pyromancer,
Pyromancers are still in his deck. And so are the Chandra's Phoenixes.
Okay, interesting.
So I wonder if he brought in the Assembles or the Toil Troubles at all.
Well, it seems like they are reasonable cards in this matchup. But
I mean, I would
find
want
out. Yeah. There's certainly other opportunities for him to side cards out. I mean, like, you can't really get rid of the removal spells in this matchup, can you? Like the Chain of the Rocks, you have to keep those in, or are those cards that you could potentially...
I think you always want Chain to the Rocks.
I do too.
Against decks like this. Like Nightveil Spectre and Desecration Demon are pretty hard to deal with. Desecration Demon especially is just one of the best cards against these red strategies, so Chain to the Rocks is... That's like one of the big reasons why you're splashing white, is so that you can deal with Desecration Demon.
Yeah. Well, let's see, another Magma Jet there. So, Darin doesn't have a third land, but he will provide himself the opportunity to try to scry into one here soon. I guess Chandra's Phoenix isn't that bad in this matchup, considering the fact that even if it dies, it's always coming back. Like, it's not even a question; it's just a question of when. So, I mean, while it does provide Stern with uses for cards that might otherwise be useless.
Yeah, he still has to use mana on them and everything. That makes sense.
Plus, if he can draw Hero's Downfall out on one of them, like, he wants his Chandra to be able to stick around because that's his source of card advantage. But here we go. To the skies.
John's going to mull over his options here a bit.
I remember back when Chandra's Phoenix first came out, and they had that sweet little video of this, like a time-lapse sped-up version of the painting of the art for that card.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Could probably still find it on YouTube, but really, really cool. It's always impressive to see people put together magic work. All right, Desecration Demon is a big boy. Desecration Demon seems like it's probably really, really strong in this matchup, right? Like,
oh yeah, I mean it's a 6/6.
And it's the 6/6 that unless you get Young Pyromancer going, which it's hard to get and keep going against this deck, like, you're going to run out of things to keep it tapped at some point, right?
Yeah. I mean, Darin can't really be sacrificing guys to a Desecration Demon. He really needs to keep his guys in play to apply pressure.
Yeah, and
so
Chandra's Phoenix goes back to your hand when you hit them with their burn spell, not to play, correct?
Correct.
So it's not like he could even just start chaining burn spells to sacrifice. He just doesn't have the resources.
All right, so he's going to go ahead and sacrifice that Phoenix and tap down the Desecration Demon. Slowing things down a bit. Ooh, another demon there.
That's a big game. Literally a big game.
It is.
Well, he deals 4, knocks Stern down to 10. I mean, he could race this, potentially.
He could.
And let's see, he's got his life would be so much easier if he had another mana. Like the ability, like right now he's lacking the ability to play a young pyromancer. Right? I mean, and then also play a spell in order to generate the.
Yeah, this fourth
token that he
land
would
was
need.
really important for him to hit, and he hasn't. So, I mean, I don't really know how he's going to race this anymore.
Yeah, he's holding 7 points of burn in his hand, but he's not going to have the turns or the mana to use it.
I'm also a little bit surprised that he chose to. I guess you should use the Phoenix to sacrifice the demon somewhat aggressively, because otherwise you're just never going to get to do anything with it. Because
And if he has any removal spells
exactly.
at all. Yeah. You think it's possible he might have been able to play it that turn since, I mean, what are his options right now? He's got the Skullcrack in his hand that he can fire off for 3, but almost, oh, wow, a third demon. Oh.
Yeah, all the demons.
All of the demons. It's a demon party. Gotcha, man. You're at 7-2. All right. Did he draw?
No, he did not.
Flames of the Blood Hand?
So
Wait,
here
no,
we
that
are.
doesn't do it. Or is this Rage with Kicker?
Game 3.
All right. This game was won by the big beaters out of John Stern's deck. Those demons are so big here.
Yeah, I mean, Desecration Demon was our pick for the best card against Chandra Pyromaster going into the PT, and Chandra Pyromaster ended up not really being an entity at the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
But we were worried about it, so. I mean, it is one of the better cards in that's legal in Standard, so.
Yeah, I think the card was really able to shine at the World Magic Cup, actually, in the Team Constructed rounds. It was since the card pool was diffuse and players had to spread all the cards out. Like every single team, for the most part, had a deck that had Chandra in it, and it was very interesting to see the little shells that she went into at that point. Things have changed a little bit since then, obviously, but it was nice to get to see the actual raw power, and like that might have been the first time that I heard her realistically compared to Jace the Mind Sculptor in one of those situations where she just draws cards.
Yeah, and she's not Jace the Mind Sculptor.
No.
But she's very good.
Yeah. And that was the most reasonable format for her to actually have made the comparison. Like previously, she hadn't been really fully explored.
I mean, in Modern, she's pretty close.
Yeah.
She's really good at Modern.
Yeah.
Reed Duke just made it all the way to the finals of a Grand Prix just a month and a half ago.
Yep.
Chandra's in his deck.
Insane how the context of a card can change based on the format that you place it in as well. And it's just...
Yeah.
It is one of those cards that it takes a little while for her to find a home. Took a little while for her to find a home, but once she did, I mean, she was played in. I remember that she was regaled at one point as being one of the next big things for Jund, because Jund was in need of a card advantage spell.
Yeah, that is what she's been being used for in Modern. It's just really good.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cards like that in the current Standard format. For example, Voice of Resurgence is a powerhouse in Modern. I don't think there's been a Grand Prix, a Modern Grand Prix, since Voice of Resurgence was printed, where the winning deck list was not playing Voice of Resurgence.
Yeah. I mean,
and there have been a lot of them.
Yep.
So,
the best card in Modern, well, one of the best cards in Modern in my mind, the Deathray Shaman. Like that card is like actually just, like, who would have guessed that card is format defining in Modern? I mean, it is like it actually defines what people are.
I mean, I would not be upset if they banned it.
Yeah. Nope.
That's how serious I am about my dislike for that card and what it does to the format. I absolutely despise that card and what it has done to Modern. It's just made so many really fun decks completely unplayable.
Yeah. I'm a hater of fun, so because I for me, there's nothing more fun than that card in Modern. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I'm very much the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of fun.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I just like being on the dishing end of that card. Being on the receiving end is terrible. Like, I hate having to play against it, but
it's like, oh look, he played a bird Lavamancer, Spike Feeder. Cool.
Yeah, bird Lavamancer Spike Feeder. It's it's the new thing. All the kids are about it. All right. Oh my goodness, is that an Arabian Nights mountain?
Speaking of Spike Feeder, have you witnessed Spike Feeder Archangel of Thune yet?
Oh, no, that's dirty.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so a Thoughtseize is going to reveal Young Pyromancer, 2 2-mana burn spells, War Leader's Helix, and a Chain to the Rocks.
So this Young Pyromancer still in the deck now.
Yep. And we also only see a second mountain. So did Stern indicate that he was taking the jet, or was he just spreading
I imagine
the hand
he's
out a
going
little
to take
bit?
the jet. It'd be pretty strange for him to take something else.
Yeah. Prevent that scry that important when he's only on 2 lands. It depends on what he's got in his hand. Is that a second copy of Thoughtseize I see there?
It might be.
Well, what would his reasoning for picking any of those spells be? Because the only other one that I can consider him taking is the Young Pyromancer, right? Like, can you think of a reason he would take the Pyromancer over the Magma Jet? Like, if he doesn't
Maybe
have
he
a
doesn't have a
spell?
removal spell?
Yeah.
But it seems unlikely that he would have nothing.
That's a Desecration Demon, not a Thoughtseize in his hand. So it looks like the Demon's going to come out to play again. All right, so ultimately does go for the Magma Jet, denying Darin access to that Scry. He finds that third land anyway, a very, very important third land. Now he just needs a white source to go along with it, and he'll be set. So Young Pyromancer does hit play. I'll see if it gets to do anything before being dispatched. Stern's tapping 2 mana. That usually... Oh, okay. So the Pack Rats are going to make their appearance again. Ooh, there is that white mana. So Darin has drawn 2 consecutive cards off the top of his deck capable of producing mana, including one that produces the white mana that he needs. Went ahead and chose to put it into play tapped rather than take 2, opting to use a Lightning Strike to get rid of it, wanting the extra token as opposed to, playing it into play tapped and using Chain to the Rocks and then aiming the Lightning Strike at Stern's face.
I mean, it's got to be right to use the Lightning Strike there. I mean, you also do want to be saving those Chain to the Rocks for Desecration Demons.
Yes.
Especially in this stage of the game, like turn 3, turn 2, because they haven't even had an opportunity to cast the demon yet, and they're just going to slam it on turn 4 and then slam the second one on turn 5 if they have them, because that's the best line against you. But
yeah, in light of the way the last game played out, that's especially strong. So that 4th mana, both nets him 4 life, another token, and gets rid of that silly Night Veil Spectre.
I believe Darin dropped a card on the ground. Is there a card missing from his hand?
Second War Leader's Helix, and I don't believe so.
No? Okay.
Chain to the Rocks, Lightning Helix, or War Leader's Helix? Yeah, that should be the 2 cards in his hand. So yeah, he should be good. Well, we're seeing Young Pyromancer do work here, in so many ways. In addition, so there's that Desecration Demon that's going to need to be chained to the rocks. But with the number of creatures that he's actually been able to get early off of this Young Pyromancer, he gives himself pretty reasonable cushion against another Desecration Demon should he fail to find a way to deal with it. So the first one's going to get chained to the rocks, and I'm pretty sure that's an Arabian Nights mountain. So that, I mean, if you're going to be trained to a rock, that's a pretty sexy rock to be chained to.
It's a nice rock.
Yeah. I mean, she would be very happy if she got a rock like that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Whoever the proverbial she may be.
Proverbial she, the Desecration Demon?
Yeah.
Is it she?
Yeah, sure.
He took her to Jared?
He took her to Jared. No. Jared's black-green. Black-green.
Yeah.
All right, so the first of the 2 Young Pyromancers faces a hero's downfall. The second one's still alive, and 4 points of damage are going to pound home. I would imagine, be very surprised if Stern didn't try to at least trade off his Young or the Mutavault for a Young Pyromancer here.
Ooh, but there's a jet of the Magma variety.
Going to trigger, and yet one more 1/1 enters the fray. So 4 points of damage is going to knock Stern down to 5. giving
This young
Darin
Pyromancer's doing some work, man.
It is. It's presenting a lethal attack next turn. All right, so let's see what Stern has here. All right, 5th turn gets him a Gary. Grey Merchant of Asphodel, which is going to pad his life total a little bit more and give him a nice little defense. Card's not too bad when you're facing down the creatures that Darin currently has in play, but we know that Darin's... Oh, wow, is that another Helix in his hand?
No, I believe that's Assemble the Legion.
Oh, even worse. All right, yep, and that's going to take it down. So Darin Minard, his barely Boros burn deck, manages to take down John Stern and his mono black control deck here in round 6 of Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth.